we are going to be looking at a new discipline. However, I'm called Mr. Scarrow Moses. I'm going to be handling social studies. Then we shall be looking at the methods in there, and also talk about the practical part or the practice of social studies. Our emphasis this time around, we are going to be looking at something new, and we are going to be looking at different things up there. If we try to see according to our course description, we are going to be looking at the maps. Then we talk about photographs, we mention about fieldwork, and also other aspects in line to our coverage. When we start, we are going to be looking at maps as our first unit. This time round, we are going to be looking at maps. What are maps? Then we talk about the types of maps and other definitions concerning to the maps. Then we also look at the relevances of maps. When you look there, they are saying that a map is a symbolic description emphasizing relationship between elements of some shape, in other words, in form of objects and also regions or themes. So we are looking at the information depicted onto the Earth's surface in relation to the shape or specific objects within a region. So those are what we term as maps. They are saying that many maps are seem to be static, others may be fixed, and some may be durable in terms of medium. Then others can be dynamic. In others, they can change. Others are not changing. They cannot change, given that we have maps that can be displayed in given aspects that may be requiring them to change in the way how they appear. For instance, when you look at maps trying to show vegetation, when you look at vegetation is not static, but it is dynamic. In other words, it keeps on shifting from a specific zone to another zone. So it has that transaction or that shift from a given vegetation type to another vegetation type. So you cannot try to see where it starts and where it ends, because due to the varying climatic conditions that may cause to the shift in terms of climate. So in the other, we can talk about given types of maps. For instance, we have the population maps. They can also be trying to show a given aspect in terms of dynamic and static. So the other thing here, we are emphasizing all the things that we are looking at is also another a thing that they are saying, that the shape being mapped, many may be dimensional, such that the surface area or the three-dimensional areas of the interior of the earth are even more extractive as shape of dynamics. In other words, they are trying to mean that some of these maps tend to be actually occupying very larger areas depending on the objects that they try to show. In others, they are saying that they are abstract. In others, they are rich in information once researched and taken, or photographs once they are taken. So those are what we call the maps. So when we go on, we are looking at the types of maps. As I told you, that we have what we call the political maps or the physical maps. So those are also the types of maps, and these maps are most importantly, they try to show the physical features or the physical geography of an area. These ones try to show mountains, soils, and land uses. In others, land use activities. When you talk about mountains, that one I'm clear, people you can easily tell. When you talk about the soil types, it's also a physical aspect that you have to consider. When you talk about land use activities, these ones are more of human. For instance, mining, tourism, talk about fishing, infrastructures. Now those are land use activities that we are talking about in there. They are saying, then they talk about the topographic maps. These ones try to show elevation in terms of relief with the contours or contour lines, and these ones are they clearly show that this area is elevated. This area, it has got what we call the under rock outcrop, or it has got what we call rocks. Then the other they are talking about are what we call the fault lines as a result of faulting. So they are those maps that we will be trying to show those things, and those ones we have termed as topographic maps. They show elevation elevations and relief with contours, lines or shadings. So those are topographic maps. Then you have what we call geographical maps. These geographical maps, these ones try to show a physical surface, but characteristics of underlying rocks. Then talk about the fault lines, the one I talked about. Then talk about the subsurface structure, then electronic maps. So when you talk about the subsurface structure, these ones they try to show how the surface tends to be looking like in terms of physical features that tend to be appearing onto the Earth's surface. When you talk about the electronic maps, these ones from the late quarter of the 19th century or the 20th century, these ones they were developed. These ones for them they are trying actually to deal with how people like cartographers, people that study GIS information technology or geographical information technology, that these ones use global positioning systems, and all they embrace the idea of using software. When they have a software, all information is corrected, all the data is corrected, then it is stored into the software. So these ones they try to depict information depending on gathered or data gathered. So these ones are sometimes people like cartographers tend to be using these maps. In others, they are designed by those people known as cartographers. They are saying the functionality of these maps has been greatly advanced by technology. What I've told you that they use the software to simplify the spatial imposition of spatially located variables. When we talk about variables, we are talking about the existence in terms of geographical data or information that is gathered, the local information that is collected from a specific area. For instance, they are talking about the rainfall, the amount of rainfall. They talk about the distribution of wildlife and also the demographic data in terms of population. Talk about there may be information concerning birth rates or death rates. So those ones they try to show that information. They are saying that in the pre-electronic era, they are talking about oral age, that superimposition of data led by Dr. John Snow. When you look at Dr. John Snow, this scholar, for him, identifies the location of the outbreak of cholera, and he studied that location. After studying the location, he was able to map that data, or to map up areas that were affected by cholera. Then they are saying that today it is used by different agencies of humankind as divers of wildlife conservation, and they are saying that in also the militaries around the world use what we call the global the geographical information system to obtain information that they may be requiring from the Pacific, a particular area. They are saying even the GIS is not involved, but they are saying that most cartographers nowadays use a variety of computers or computer graphics programs to generate new maps. So that's what we call geographical maps. and whereby we talked about the cartographers also embracing the idea. So they are also termed as computerized maps. These ones are commercially available, allowing the users to zoom in or zoom out given information that may be required for them to encounter. So those are some of the types there that we are talking about. Below these ones they are trying to give us examples that they have what we call the portable documented format. This format for it accepts data in form of vector graphs, and it also deals with information gathered in form of figures, in form of series of standard geometric figures. Such figures, they involve drawing straight lines, drawing circles, and also spines. Those are the things in relation to computerized maps. Then the other, we have what we call the climatic maps. These ones try to show the distribution or the territorial distribution in terms of climatic condition based on results of location, or based on the results of information that may be obtained from the field. Those are what we call the climatic maps. These ones, they are looking at temperatures, precipitation, then also humidity. However, these maps they try to show climatic features onto the Earth's surface. Those are what we call the climatic map. These ones are temperatures. Temperature records are taken, and also rainfall in form of precipitation. They talk about humidity is also obtained from the atmosphere. Then they are drawn. When they are drawn, they are trying to show the information gathered. Then the other, we have what we call isoline maps. These isoline maps they are drawn in a way that they try to show pressure, atmospheric pressure, temperature, and humidity. Then the total amount of precipitation, as I talked about. Those are the types that you can talk about in there. But we have what we termed as we have the different types of maps there. When you look at what we call the non-geographical spatial maps, these ones are the non-geographical spatial maps. Most of these maps exist on what we call the solar system, and they are saying that they are cosmogeographical features. For instance, stars, moons, and also other things can also be seen onto the planets by not involving any technology, but they can be actually seen and drawn. They are saying that in addition of these other maps, in addition to the maps, they are talking about the other bodies, for instance, moons and planets. These ones are technically non-geographical maps. When you look at the moon and the planets, they are not technically geographical maps. Then the technical maps, these ones are like the other ones. These ones, they try to show the distance between locations, and they are more, or they are not important on the layout of connectivity between themselves, or between the matters. In other words, they are trying to mean that these ones they try to show relationships, or they try to show the difference, the distances, and also the locations. Those are what we call topographical maps. Then the other, they are mentioning about that these ones, they are diagrams that try to show how they look like, and those ones are what we have termed as topographical maps. Then below, there are some of a list of the given types of maps, list of map types. When you look at the atlas encompasses very many things there. Then the Caldera maps, that these ones They try to show the relief areas in terms of calderas. Then talked about climate, those are the temperatures. Geological maps I mentioned about. Numerical maps, those ones I've not mentioned about. Then you have what we call the physical, political, those ones talked about relief, the general appearance, resources, those ones that have got lakes and rivers. Then the star maps, those ones main spaces, features within the space. Then talk about the street maps, this one try to show roads and other transport means. Then thematic maps, then graphic maps, weather maps, and also what we call the world maps. So those are some of the types of maps that we are going to be talking about. For now, I beg we stop from there, where we shall be picking up from what we call the relevances of maps. Then you look at those relevances of maps. I beg to submit.